But hey, we're still opportunity. Just trying to yeah. Just like.
Yeah.
I just wanted to tell you that. They got it. Like the. Yeah, all good. Yeah, right. No,
So how did you start filming? Any better?
Actually, that's very different. So put out.
That says a lot. Now you're.
It's about. I know that I don't tell about this. I mean, I have to. So, yeah, it works. Okay.
Well, I left New York.
I've gone through iterations of my. And it's every aspect where the come outside. To get somebody doing like. Yeah. See, everybody say that I would say because they want I don't know, you know, they and that wasn't that birds. Force myself. I know that was why no, I was clean to the light. Yeah. That's what they do. When they do on fire, they go there. I don't think it's the same. Or maybe for free. And I was thinking. Yeah. I like it because just like I stay stretching myself. Speaking. I mean, I think well, your phone, yeah, whatever works, right? It's like starting by. I don't know. To have. Are you looking for? Yeah. Very good. You might be able to. I think it is. And then. Because it has gone into the estate and very. Yeah, this has been. But it's I'm a publisher. That's the thing. No, yeah, maybe I'll, yeah, Danny.
Especially what kind of stuff do you do?
Well, I just fiction. And but I used to write essays.
more essay person by nature, but I'm trying my hand at fiction. See that? Yeah, what do you think? So my.
Mostly, I write essays. I finished a real short memoir, like 6 months out of it. So anyway, yeah.
I have no knowledge of anyone who can write poetry. I don't, poet, I love to read poetry, but I do not understand. I understand how to write it.
Hey, it's like writing. I just, you know.
So two things, what was that?
Obviously, it's more sound.
Yeah, sure.
But also, it gives you a certain amount of lyrical freedom with how you phrase.
Yeah.
It.
Yeah, that's kind of simple, right? Yeah.
Like, would you like to break bread?
Right. That's awesome. That sounds right in my alley.
Yeah.
The folk that own Google is
There's some.
if you can hear me, would somebody say so in the chat?
That's awesome. We need to know other good writers or else it's impossible.
Yeah. Speaking of poets, there's one. Bill.
Not the real.
Okay.
I gotta.
Okay, so.
Right, welcome everybody.
Yeah.
How's everybody doing tonight?
Yeah.
Great, enjoying the summer, getting a lot of writing in?
Yeah.
Yeah, good. Yeah, I'm not seeing a lot of heads nod on that, but. All right, this is the August 2026 Central Oregon Writers Guild meeting. I am showing on the screen right now, I've got a few folks at home, but I'm showing on the screen right now our landing page for the Central Oregon Writers Guild. I just realized that I've been telling everybody to come to community room 2, but we're going to be in community room 1 forever and ever. So I'll change that on the website and when I send stuff out. So if there's people next door at, what's the seminar?
Medicare made easy.
Medicare made easy.
Helpful.
Right, so if you're gonna write about Medicare. Anyway, all right, well, so welcome. So again, reminder on the left side of our landing page, we have our events. There's Dani in her beautiful straw hat, who's gonna talk to us tonight about metaphors. Next month, we've got Jane Kirkpatrick, who's gonna talk about as we writers say, keeping your butt in the chair, getting the work done. Leva Moss, one of our board members, who does really everything from marketing to book publication to publicist, is going to talk to us about marketing our book, promoting our books. She's also going to do a workshop. FYI, the library is supporting us, Yay Library, for our workshops from here on out, which means that our workshops are free. Yeah. So, yeah. So that also means that they're open to the public, which also means that those damn public. I was the public once. Yeah, you're either in the room or you're out of the room, right? So what that means is sign up early, okay? And so registration for that opens on September 17th. So I will send an email out to COWG members to remind them to sign up for it. If you sign up, come. If you sign up and can't come, make sure you unsign up because these are limited to 20 people. So we hate to have a bunch of people sign up just because they can and then not be able to make it, and then we end up not being able to serve the people who also wanted to come. So we'll check in with you before we get there. In November, Denise is going to talk to us about screenwriting. This is becoming a very popular genre in the world. And then December, we'll have our potluck and reading here. I think we're talking about turning that into a little bit more of a mingling session. In November, also, the week after our regular Writers Guild meeting, that following Tuesday, we'll have an anthology release and we'll do it in here. And we're going to have a bunch of readers and food and stuff like that, which is what we normally do at our potluck. So our potluck may turn into a little bit more of a get to know each other, potential writer group, find out the secrets of the writing world kind of thing. So
When the new anthology release.
What's the third Tuesday in November? I don't, because I don't have the calendar out that far yet. But I'm thinking the 17th of November.
That's right, you're right.
Yeah.
You said
And
third Tuesday?
third Tuesday. So it's the week after our meeting here, which will be, I guess I could look here and do the math, right? Yeah. So November 10th, we have a meeting here. The following Tuesday, the 17th, we have. Okay. On the right side, right column of this page, we have all the stuff that we know of that's going on in town or in Central Oregon, writing related. Okay. There are lots of open writing sessions. I know that I come to the one here on Tuesday mornings upstairs. We have anywhere from 6 to 12 people at that every week. And we just come in and we chat for a little bit and come in at 9:30, talk about what we're doing, write for quietly for an hour and 15 minutes, and then check in before we leave. And it's really useful as a time to be devoted to writing. It's really useful for me because a lot of times my devoted writing time turns into my devoted answer email time, or my devoted make a snack time, or my devoted do the laundry time, or whatever, that sort of thing. Irene would laugh if she heard me say I did the laundry. I do sometimes though. So other things, Redmond Library, Sisters Library, COCC is doing them on Thursdays. Open Art Center has some great kind of open classes on the Wednesdays, 7 to 8:30. I went to one last month and it was really useful. So free. Go to those things if you can. If you are interested in being a featured author at the Sisters Festival of Books, which happens September 11th to 13th. If you've got a book and you want to be a featured local author, you can apply there. Click on that link at the top of the August thing there, okay? Other stuff going on. I'll skip ahead to where we are. Author readings. I've talked before about our Blank Pages Writing Salon. You can just zoom into that. You don't even have to have stuff. You can observe if you want to figure out how it goes. But if you click on these links, you'll find out more about all of this stuff. Third Thursday open mic or spoken word. Author readings. Oregon Poetry Association celebration, August 28th and 29th. And Carol, you're teaching a class there?
Workshop.
Yep. Okay. So you can check that out there. COCC opens their creative writing classes to the public also, which means you don't have to be going to COCC to get a degree. You can just go take these classes, and I think you can audit them, or you can take it and fail, and then what does it matter, right? Don't fail though. So intro to creative writing, intro to creative nonfiction, and intro to script writing are all 10-week classes at COCC. And you can sign up and take those classes. And I think it's a worthwhile thing to do. Good instructors there. In September, again, we've got Jane Kirkpatrick, more author readings. Paulina Springs is doing this Voices of Central Oregon thing over the course of that sort of, it's kind of like the Festival of Books era, right? Are you gonna do any of that stuff? Are you okay, okay. Raging Writers, they just did that this last Sunday, but again, that's a great thing. And Irene said it's been really popular. So you go there, write prompts, talk about writing, and you can do open mic at the end if you want, optional.
Where is that?
That's at Spork on the second Sunday of every month. Yeah, and it's really great. Crane has got a bunch of stuff going on this month. This Miscalculated Risk with Michael Cooper is not this Michael Cooper. There's another Michael Cooper, but I'm sure it's going to be fantastic. But if you go expecting to see me, and then end of the Herringbone Books has a free book day, September 27th. Willamette Writers Conference is over. PNWA is coming up in October. And then we are taking applications for the Forge 10-month online writing program, which starts at the end of September. I've got some little bookmarks at the back if you're interested. And if you want to talk to me about it, if you think it might be something you're interested in, come talk to me.
Yeah, I think, I'm not 100% sure, but I believe that spoken word on Thursday at the Redmond Hotel is changing starting this month to the Redmond Library. That is my.
Okay, I'll fix that. Thank you. All right. And I'll remember to fix the community room 1 as well. Okay. Any questions about any cool stuff here? Anybody doing any cool stuff? Anybody want to share any cool things that they've done? Writing related or not? Anybody have anything cool for lunch today?
I'll come give you the specifics later, but I just found out another author that's coming to Roundabout at the end of August that you might wanna.
Okay, that's not on here.
That's right.
Yeah,
It
I
just
just want to
happened.
look at there.
So.
Something cool.
All right.
So this weekend is the grand opening for this building, and on Saturday at 3 p.m. in this room, maybe the big room, depending on how things go with the weather. US poet laureate Arthur Sees will be here doing a reading, which is kind of a big deal. So 3 p.m.
When's this?
this Sunday.
This coming?
Sunday or Saturday?
Saturday, this coming Saturday.
Oh, wow. That came up quick, didn't it?
Sure did.
All right, cool. That's exciting. The US Poet Laureate is going to Bend, Oregon. Nice. Okay. Mary is not with us tonight. So I'm going to sub in as featured reader coordinator. So I'm going to introduce our reader tonight, Katie Post. Katie is a writer, life and leadership coach, and co-owner of a veterinary practice with her husband, this dude right here. And lives here in Bend, where she also lives with this dude and her teenagers. After years spent helping others design their lives, she turns the lens of her own on her own with the Now Years, a Substack column built around the belief that later is no longer the plan. Her essays explore what it means to live well at midlife, the relationship to the work and the inner life that shape it, always with humor and honesty and a sharp eye for the moments when choosing joy becomes the whole point. Frogtopolis, is that what you're going to share tonight? Is will soon to be published in our anthology, right? Mm-hmm. Is one of those essays, a piece that captures exactly what kind of unexpected, vivid living Katie writes about. So let's welcome Katie.
My dear husband features in this, so I had to thank him both for being here and for giving me his blessing here. I just lost my earring. All right. Frogtopolis on desire, sleep deprivation, and the frogs my husband invited into our bedroom.
You wanna put the mic a little closer?
Yes.
That's not actually.
It's not active, okay, never mind, that's all right.
Okay, I'll just project. It used to be Brent's snoring that kept me up. In some ways, snoring is the more manageable affliction. I can nudge him, a firm elbow to the ribs, a whispered, hey, and most of the time the snoring stops. At least for a little while. At least until I've drifted back towards sleep and it starts again. Soft at first, then building like a freight train, finding its rhythm. The frogs offer no such remedy. They arrived sometime in April, drawn to the pond Brent built in the far corner of our backyard. A 2-pool oasis of black lava rock and still water. The surface scattered with duckweed, the whole thing framed by a fullness of bamboo that creates what I can only describe as a series of romantic nooks. He built it with care over a long summer weekend 2 years ago, hauling rock and running tubing, filling it with water from the hose until it held. He was proud of it. I was proud of him. I did not anticipate the frogs. He planned for them. He built this oasis for them and gathered tadpoles from languishing ponds and public parks to populate the community he was nurturing at home. A lush water garden tucked away in our dry, high desert climate. It is now 3 a.m. and I'm wide awake as if I have a flight to catch, which I do not. What I have instead is a pillow over my head, Brent's arm thrown across me, and the relentless, full-throated, deeply resonant croaking of what I can only assume is the entire male frog population assembled in my backyard for one singular purpose. The brown noise app I've pulled on my phone is doing nothing. The fan is clicking, the bathroom window is stuck open an inch, just wide enough to admit this summer's wildlife smoke, or as it turns out, the sonic force field of an amphibian dating event. I pulled up Google because it's 3 a.m. I'm awake and there's nothing else to do. It seems the male tree frog finds a location suitable for breeding and takes up residence. Once settled, the assembled male frogs sing. They sing loudly and without self-consciousness or apparent concern for the sleeping humans 30 feet away. The females apparently will arrive when they arrive. The males need only to commit to the calling. Based on the reverberation coming through my stuck window, these particular frogs are very committed. The average suburban tree frog does not mate for life. There is a species that does, but ours are not those frogs. Our backyard is, to be precise, a nighttime hookup spot for amphibians. What he has created in the end is Frogtopolis, a thriving community of creatures calling openly into the dark for exactly what they want. I lie on my back and think about the desire that announces itself without apology. There is a version of frog song I've always loved. Backpacking in the strawberry wilderness, camping at East Lake, the kids seeking and finding quarter-sized frogs not quick enough to escape their tiny hands. In those places, the frogs at night felt like confirmation, like we had found our way to somewhere we were always meant to be. The sound was elemental and right, woven into the dark alongside the smell of pine and wood smoke and cold water. The frogs outside my bedroom at 3 a.m. are the same frogs, the same species, the same song, the same ancient and uncomplicated agenda. What's changed is not them. What's different is that I'm 50, lying next to the man who built the pond they're singing from, listening to their open and unironic invitation, come find me, I'm here. And feeling in some way I am still trying to articulate, implicated by it. Not envious exactly, something more like recognition. The frogs are not complicated about what they want. They have found the place, they have begun the song, and they are waiting without ambivalence for what comes next. Brent stirs beside me. In his sleep, he reaches over and finds my hand. The pond he built, how he didn't know what it would become, but was hopeful and undeterred in creating something beautiful and hospitable and full of water. In response, the world filled it with life. That's the thing about building something. You don't always get to choose what arrives. You just keep the water clean. You let the bamboo grow. You lie awake at 3 a.m. listening to the life that showed up. By 4:30, the frogs have quieted. Either the females have arrived and everyone has gotten what they came for, or the males have finally given up for the night and gone back to waiting. I'm not sure which possibility is more romantic and which is more sad. I close my eyes. Brent's hand is still on mine. Outside, Frogtopolis rests in the silver pre-dawn, the duckweed floating, the lava rock wet, the bamboo perfectly still. The window is still stuck open an inch. I really need to get that fixed.
Thank you very much, Katie. subtle eroticism in that.
Yeah.
That was great. I appreciated that. Are those your frogs I hear at night?
Yeah, but thankfully they only were croaking like that for about a month. A month where I wasn't sleeping. So I was
I
counting
like how you
days.
bring that, like how you bring the frogs and the relationship together as well. All right. We've got Dani talking to us about metaphors tonight. Metaphors to enrich your writing. With Dani Nichols, when you need to describe something, a feeling, atmosphere, or landscape, it's often useful to take the reader's mind elsewhere by creating word pictures with metaphor. With examples from literature, we'll learn to enrich our metaphors and notice the difference between tired cliche and snappy wordplay. Dani Nichols is an award-winning children's book author, Buzz the Not So Brave, published July 2023, Substack author, freelance essayist with pieces published in 20 plus publications. She also works as a coach and an editor to help writers sharpen their work and get published, and teaches writing at cocc.com or at COCC, and her Substack, the link to that is on the website here, on the Central Oregon Writers Guild website. And for those of you at home, if you go to the image of Dani there that talks about this event, if you scroll down to the bottom, you'll see a little link that says Dani's slides, so you can follow those along, and then everyone here, you'll have those available to you after. So ladies and gentlemen, Dani Nichols, big round of applause.
It's fine. I didn't know that you were gonna like read a little bio. That was so nice. Okay.
Full service here.
Okay, I gotta do the sharing. Zoom, hang on. Uh-huh.
You can turn off your microphone. Yeah. I'll go. Oh, you have only. Oh, this is. So that's good.
And then if you hit that big button, there you go.
Hello?
You doing
This is still giving me feedback.
Now let's try it again.
Then I can.
No, if you're gonna share.
Like the word.
Comments. Solely I would just. You should have made the next slide. It's not. So did you go to share?
Yeah.
Did you click on this? No, okay, try that one. This one, yeah.
There you go.
Hey.
Let's go. Liz.
All right. Okay, well, sorry for the technical difficulties. I might be a millennial, but I'm bad at technology. I'm an elder millennial. All right, so Mike already gave you my bio. I'm an editor. I do publishing and writing coaching, so now you know that. It's my website. I was also a horseback riding instructor for 15 years, so that's why my website is Wrangler Dani. And if you need to hear better, just holler at me and I'm happy to project and use my arena voice because it does exist. Okay, so we're going to talk about metaphor. And I realized when I was working on kind of putting this all together that I'm kind of talking about metaphor and simile, because technically, if you want to get English major on it, metaphor is when you say something is like something else, and simile is just stating something as something else, or the other way around. Yeah, sorry. As I was saying it, I was like, wait a minute. And Mike's here to catch me. And so they're basically the same thing. Like you either say like or you don't. So we're just kind of going to lump them together. But I first want to talk, because it's more fun to talk about bad metaphors. But great metaphors transform, but they have to stand up to interrogation. And I like the word interrogation here because I think all of us need to be questioning our writing, demanding that it answer us, right? We're not just looking at it and going, oh, it's so pretty. We want it to stand up to scrutiny, not just scrutiny, but questions. And so Shakespeare famously, of course, says all the world's a stage, all the men and women are merely players. This is a wonderful simile, technically, right? Simile? Am I doing it right now? Yeah, okay. Okay, I'm not crazy. And this is really wonderful because it sets up the whole play, right? Like we know immediately where we're going. And then this rings in our head every time one of the characters says or does something, right? Because it's supposed to kind of be over the top, but it can't just sound good. It has to make sense. It has to work in the whole body of work. And so here's some bad examples. So this one just brings me a lot of joy because I am an AI hater. And I don't know if you guys know about this story, but the winner of the 2026 Commonwealth Prize is now widely believed to have used AI to write his story. And this is one of the lines from the award-winning story. What? The girl smiled like a sunrise over a sink. And I love the bewildered looks on everyone's faces because you guys know more about good writing than the judges of the Commonwealth Prize. It doesn't stand up to interrogation. No. What does smiling like a sunrise look like? Why are we over a sink? What is happening? No, it doesn't, it sounds really pretty. If you were just skimming quickly, if this was like in a magazine that you picked up at the doctor's office, you might not notice it. But if you're reading it like a writer, you're reading it carefully, you really want to discover something, you're expecting that it's going to be beautiful. As soon as you read it, you're kind of like, oh, this is unclear. This doesn't mean anything. It sounds kind of cool. There's some alliteration here, which I guess is good, but it has no meaning. It's hollow. Another bad example is cliche. So these are metaphors that were at one time powerful, but they're not anymore because they're so common that we know they don't even like stick in our brain. When we hear within an inch of his life, we don't think, oh my gosh, his life was nearly grabbed by the angel of death and it came within an inch. You don't think that at all. It just blows right over your head. Same goes for Heart of Gold. You don't imagine someone with an actual golden heart, or Slippery Slope. You don't imagine falling down, right? It's just sort of a endless word picture. I saw a really good example of rewriting a cliche today. Actually, I was reading a news story, and I think it's become somewhat common to talk about politicians talking in word salad. Have you guys heard that term? And so that's kind of become a cliche, right? We don't really notice word salad anymore. And the writer of this story I read today talks about verbal coleslaw. And I was like, okay, All right, so we're taking
like
a
that.
cliche and we're gonna do something a little bit different, and it kind of makes you chuckle. It's kind of a new
Yeah.
way to sort of reimagine a trope, right? Okay, so the next bad example is really obvious ones. Children are the future. This one drives me crazy. I have 3 children. No one would ever say that children are the past. That doesn't make any sense. Of course, children are the future. It doesn't, it has no meaning. There's no there there. It is what it is. I don't know if you guys have seen the Seinfeld bit where he talks about the way to sound smart is to just repeat yourself, like it is what it is. Which I think is pretty genius. Cold as ice. We don't actually imagine ice. You don't imagine like reaching out and touching something and having to pull your hand back. It doesn't really mean anything. You say that lady was cold as ice. Doesn't mean anything. It's just sort of a general vaguishness. And so they fill space, but they don't create new meaning. They're not memorable. They don't give you a new insight into human nature or even what you saw. Like if you were trying to describe a personality, let's say, just for ease of reference, to cold as ice, you encounter someone at a coffee shop who's distant and cold, and you describe to a friend that they're cold as ice. It doesn't actually reveal new meaning. You're not actually telling us anything about who this person is. You're not describing facial features or how they looked at you or how they responded to you. You're not giving us anything new. This metaphor is actually taking away from our understanding because our brains might leap to some other time we've heard that expression. It's such a common expression. You've heard it 100 times. And so you might assume that I mean something very different than what I actually mean. And so when we want clarity and we're trying to seek after, new meaning and new creativity, saying something more original is always better. Okay, here's our first opportunity to interrogate our work. I'm gonna give you 5-ish minutes on your own, and you can have more time if you want it, to talk about or think through a poorly thought out metaphor or simile. It can be a cliche, it can be something obvious, it can be something that you read in a book, like she smiled like a sunrise over a sink. That has just always bothered you. You can even take one of these examples. If you don't have one right in your head, you could take a cliche or you could take our terrible prize-winning writing here. And you can just kind of think through, okay, how would I write something better? How would I take this either nonsensical or familiar cliche and turn it into a really wonderful, eye-catching metaphor. So I'm gonna give you more time. I'm gonna give you 8 minutes. Let's do that. Let's go to 6:15. And you can just kind of jot down some ideas, think about it for a while. If you want me to go back and forth on slides, I'm happy to. And then we're gonna break into groups and see what we came up with.
There are clipboards and paper over on the counter if you would like.
And if you come up with a couple of them, you get an extra cookie. Need one more minute. Unless anybody. Okay, do you guys want a few more minutes or do you feel good? Good. Good. All right, let's break into small groups, like 4 or 5 people. You can just turn around and do it with the people around you. You can move and talk to a friend, whatever works for you. But let's talk through your attempts, whatever you came up with, and then I'll give you about 10 minutes or so to do that, maybe a little longer, maybe 15. And then when you come out with some stuff, we'd love to hear it. Everybody would love to hear
I can't sit. About my dad. Well, they're clunky at best. Yeah, I know. David has. That's what he's going for. I like. Yeah. Right, but that's. Right, this year, oh my God, I was thinking to the main. Yeah, it's trying to be current in the shoulder now. I have, but it's like, but yeah, it's the mouth wide. That's the crash. Yeah. Like playing fire.
Your living room.
And I.
That is like to get back. Always, like a boss. My son's by himself. But it's kind of depends on what you're writing too, right? Like how to- People are having probably like that. Is
I've heard that.
I realized it. I think that I've heard
Yeah. I just think that. Then like. Yeah. They're all the miles later, right, just like,
Yeah. These are really like stories to get on your neighbor. But you know.
Harold and I.
It's the person.
I wasn't hungry, so I didn't come in and said. Nice and more fresh. Glass of wine.
Good. I doesn't know all the mine.
Yes. And my.
Yeah, potatoes, the sour cream.
Yeah, but like, yeah, it is my, so it's not a customer's car. But it's hard to spell. And I'm like, I know that, so like, right,
Yeah, yeah.
I studied out one side. Bill. It's just, I don't know. That's why. Did I not say that? That's why.
About like.
It's okay.
Yeah,
Are you going to work tonight?
She has.
I wanna get into finish things.
Process first. Which usually is staying. The experience like takes the experience, but mostly experience like.
Yeah. Share.
Who's the black hole?
So that's.
Yeah.
And I realized. Judge.
Just everything that you were talking about, coming back to predatory. Has it it results in, so you actually see. That's actually kind of scary. I don't want to have to freeze on credit.
All right, if everyone's got a chance to share, kind of wrap up your thoughts.
Yeah.
So that's the.
You guys are all having so much fun. I like hate to cut you off. But I would love to hear it. If anybody has a really good one that you worked on or thoughts about this that you want to share, we'd love to hear it. If you've got a couple from your group or even just one person from your group who wants to share, the more the merrier. So don't cut yourself off. But yeah, we'd love to hear what y'all came up with. Everybody was so chatty like 5 seconds ago.
Well, it's the size of the group.
Yeah.
Especially good.
Yeah, go ahead.
This is a little smooth, but, after walking away from the guerrilla attack that took 10 soldiers' lives, he felt like a lone buffalo after a herd's massacre.
Oh, that's within an inch, just like.
Yeah. That's wonderful. That's a great way to reimagine that. Yeah, I love that. Love that. Yeah.
Man, so it's okay, so. So this is a domino effect.
Okay, great.
The rectangular chips stack neatly behind, in front of each other. 1, 2, 5, 90, 100, sit stiff and straight, without a breath. Eyes unflinching, spaced evenly, leading still.
Wonderful, wonderful. I love that. It's great. That's great. So often I think what we're even trying to do if we're reimagining a cliche is do exactly that. You're taking the idea of a domino effect and you're just describing it for us so that our brain doesn't skip over the memorized words, right? You're giving it breath and air so that we can kind of live in it a little bit. When you think about it that way, a domino effect is a quite terrifying thing, right? You gave us quite a bit of drama there, but when you say domino effect, I just go, oh. That's wonderful. It's really great.
Just a commentary as I'm
Yeah.
wrestling with this whole topic, I was thinking, what we're doing is taking something black and white and turning it into color.
Yeah, wonderful. I love that. I love that. That's a metaphor right there. That's great. It's great.
I like to add to that, or riffing off of that, I like thinking, it struck me while we were talking, it's like the difference between eating candy and eating your veggies. Like, you know, the veggies give you nourishment and help your brain, and the
Mhm.
candy just, maybe you just, it does nothing for you. You just.
Sure. Yeah, you get a little burst.
Yeah.
But that's about
Like,
it.
I get it.
Yeah.
What they're saying,
Right.
it's not doing anything for me.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I love that. It's great.
Can I ask a question about cliches and idioms?
Yeah.
Because when I studied Italian in college, idioms were really hard. And
Sure.
I don't, you know, it's like the weird things we say culturally.
Yeah.
So what's the difference?
I think it's well, anyone can answer this if you have a better opinion, but my view is that it's commonality. So my husband's from Texas, my father-in-law is Texan, has the drawl to prove it. And he says hilarious things all the time that he thinks are very common, but I've never heard them before. So to me, it feels like a fresh, new way of seeing the world.
So the perfect daughter-in-law.
Yes, yes. Oh, he does love that I laugh at all his jokes. But yeah, to me, it feels so novel.
Right.
And I think that's part of what makes, like, even putting little turns of phrases or little things that we say into your characters, if you're writing fiction or screenwriting or something, can bring those people to life. Because sometimes that is how we talk. And so you have these goofy little things that people say that make them seem human. But if you overuse them, especially in something like maybe an essay or commentary, then you sort of seem like you were too lazy to just come up with the right description, right? And so I think there's a little bit of there's a grace period there too, in my opinion. Anyone else is welcome to chime in. Yeah.
An educated story. It was from a COCC student's essay, and they were talking about metaphors. And this drifts into idiom. He says, "I love to hunt. I love to wake up at the butt crack of dawn."
Perfect. Perfect.
But I think I'd go back to that. But idiom, metaphors and similes are comparisons. The idiom is not necessarily a comparison. My
Right.
daughter went to an art school and she had to paint idioms. So, you know, like one of them was eat your heart out. And one was the apple of my eye. Those aren't comparisons.
Right, or like pay through the nose.
Pay through the
Yeah.
nose, right?
Sure, but they
Yes.
actually should, yes,
Yes,
and there's a
yes.
slippery slope there,
There's some
to borrow a cliche. Yeah, because there are some that are both, there are some that are only one or the other, you know, and so it's kind of, I guess one of my goals with this whole topic was to talk about, like, how do we interrogate all of those kind of obvious things that we say, whether it's an idiom or whether it's a cliche or whether it's a metaphor. Like, there are so many of those word pictures that we use in common language that could maybe be better, especially if we're writers and characters. I'm sorry, you had your hand up.
To me, an idiom is more of a sort of the way something is described. For example, if you're in England, the boot is the trunk of the car, the trunk here. To me, that seems more like an idiom than a cliche or a metaphor.
Yeah, I think it can be. I think that can also kind of be put into dialect or slang. So there's a lot. I have a friend who says she's from Montana, and she says anything easy, anything she knows how to do is like falling off a log.
Right.
Which is a very funny way of, but it's a metaphor. It's like falling off a log, which I suppose means it's quite easy to fall off a log. I don't know. But it's kind of a charming, you know, like I feel like that would be a really charming thing for a character to say in a novel, you know, because it's not that common. Yeah.
I think that the idioms and cliches as well are cultural. You know, they're really rooted in culture. And if you're, you know, speaking to somebody that has a different language for their first language, they may not understand at all what you're talking about. You won't understand, even though maybe you speak Spanish and maybe you know learn Spanish, but you're not going to know what they mean.
Yes.
some of the things that he said, and it's just so culturally tied. And in that way, I think idioms are really kind of wonderful.
Yeah.
And in
Yeah.
the mouth of the characters.
Sure.
They can be useful.
Absolutely. And it's another reason why interrogating our writing matters, because if you're using a cliche as shorthand, you don't have a guarantee that your reader is going to come from the same culture and background as you do, and they won't necessarily know what slippery slope means. You think it's obvious, you know, this is a logical fallacy, but they're not necessarily going to know that. And so I think that's part of why thinking about this step can really help us sharpen our writing. Yeah.
Just an observation, an idiom implies shared understanding. Calling a log wouldn't make sense.
Right.
Her rewriting of Within an Inch of His Life required no shared understanding.
Right.
You could just read it first try and go, oh, that's cool.
Exactly. Yeah.
So there's an overlap, I think.
Yes.
Apple
Yes.
of My Eye has metaphor comparison-y stuff in it,
Yeah.
but they're not the same thing.
Yes.
I don't need shared
Great.
understanding for a good metaphor.
Great. Perfect. Yes. Wonderful. You could get up here and teach us that. Does anybody else have a good rewrite of a metaphor or a good attempt? Or a bittersweet attempt, whatever you got, we want to hear it. Go for it.
I rewrote metaphor as a soul overflowing with loving kindness.
Ooh, very good. No shared understanding required. Very good. Yeah.
I rewrote the heart of gold as her heart had that goodness particular to small children and grandmothers.
Oh, that's heartbreaking. Oh, gosh, that's beautiful. Love that.
I just rewrote it as a treasured friend.
Very nice. Yeah, so you're taking something that could be a cliche. If you said someone had a heart of gold, we maybe wouldn't know that it's your friend. But if you write it like that, then we instantly have better understanding, right? You're not leaning on the cliche to do the work for you. That's wonderful. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think one of the issues is that these concepts, simile, metaphor, and then image all bleed into one another in a pretty profound way. So that you can say simile, life is like a river.
Sure.
And then you can go to metaphor, you can say the river of life. Or you can go past that, like in Conrad's Heart of Darkness, they travel up a river. So every detail, everything describing the river has meaning for the novel.
Right.
That is diffused throughout the whole novel. So in a way, the image is the backbone of Heart of Darkness.
Yeah.
This journey up the river to encounter this Heart of Darkness.
Yeah.
So that, you know, when you talk about one simile, life is like a river, and you move to metaphor, the river of life, and then you move to Joseph Conrad writing this incredibly powerful story.
Yeah. I love that.
You know, these things bleed into each other. And so that you can, when you write, the movement between, you know, just a little dot, the simile, life is like a river, and then the river as being something where every single descriptive detail you give the river carries a powerful emotional punch in the novel itself. I think that's kind of gives context to what we're talking about.
Totally. I love that. Yeah, it occurred to me when I was up here doodling that you could write an entire essay just on metaphor cliche, you know, like slippery slope. You know, it evokes this idea of no brakes, no stopping, no logic, no steering. I started to realize I actually have a lot to say about the idea of going downhill quickly. And like, but when you say slippery slope, none of that comes to me, right? But when I start to interrogate it, kind of like you did with domino effect, you start to realize like there's actually a lot here. We could actually write a whole essay on just this one idea, you know? So it's really interesting. Love that. Anybody else have a good one?
Read mine.
love you to death. Is, a life without you would be murder by evisceration of my heart.
Love that. Love that. That goes at the end of the frog, is
Yeah.
That's really great. All right, are you guys ready to look at some good examples? Are we tired of looking at some bad ones? All right. Nobody used any of my obvious ones. Children are the future. One of these days, I'm gonna write an essay about children are the future because this is sort of pet peeve of mine. I hear politicians say children are the future all the time. It just makes me want to fall over.
So I actually did tackle children are our future, and I thought it might be, have some, energy to flip the cliche
Yeah.
and just use children are our past. Like, you know, if you run across a phrase like that, you expect, you know, a certain finish to it, but
Yes.
if you twist it, then I think it would catch people's eye.
Ooh. Ooh. Say more. Do you have more there? Did you write more about that or?
Oh, I did, but it's a whole paragraph. Because I think sometimes these things need to be set up. Like
Sure,
there's a context for them.
sure.
And I'll take your edit. Okay. The anger and frustration of the moment caught him by surprise. He remembered with shame the taunts in the schoolyard when he showed up in purple snow boots. The snarky comment by his coworker stole his voice and punctured his assertiveness. His great idea became a jumble in his mind, like fallen alphabet blocks. Pressed to summon tears from an empty sack, feeling only sudden bewilderment, he sat down. Children in our past.
That's really good. I love it. I love it. It's also a great, it's almost like a writing prompt, right? You could almost write down some of these cliches. And when you feel stuck, you're at your desk and you can't come up with what to do, and Jane Kirkpatrick hasn't told you how to stay there yet, you can kind of force yourself, let's rewrite this, let's come up with a better answer, and that's a great one. It's
Or
really
like
good.
make an argument in writing for how the opposite can
Yeah.
be true.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I love that. All right, okay, good metaphors. It's an original idea. It quickens your understanding. You get from where you're thinking to where the author is thinking fast. It deepens meaning. So there's layers, kind of like, you know, the world is a stage and all the men and women are merely players. That deepens our understanding of what Shakespeare's trying to do. Adds new layers. It's word pictures that stick in your mind. You don't forget it. Slippery slope. Children are the future, cold as ice, domino effect. You don't remember it. If somebody says it, it's gone. But these will stick, these word pictures. And typically they also create some kind of emotion. It might be a chuckle, it might be anger, it might be sadness. It might just kind of be that little heart hurt that so often happens with good literature. So let's look at some good ones. My first two are all about the sun. I don't know why. I think we just like talking about the sun. This one, actually, I discovered, I have not read this author myself, but I discovered him because he's one of Ocean Vuong's favorites. And Ocean Vuong talks about this essay in particular, this short story, as just being a wonderful example of really, really great metaphor. So if anyone is looking for a good recommendation, this Red Cavalry short story is supposed to be really wonderful for that. I actually just put it on hold at the library. So this is just a wonderful example. The low red sun rolls across the hills as if beheaded. It's just breathtaking. As if. So, you know, he's clearly causing us to think of something else. But it's quite beautiful. I've got my little Zoom thing here, so it's hard for me to read on my screen. By day, the banished sun circles the earth like a grieving mother with a lamb. It just makes you want to go home and kiss your kids. Tell you what. It's like, it's very, you can feel it. You can feel it. did. And of course, The Road is a very heartbreaking book. And so he's setting us up, right? In The Road, it's about a father. I don't know if anyone's read it, but it's about a father and son at the end of the world. And having the image of a grieving mother is actually really important to the story because the mother is not there. And so the idea that the son is the grieving mother is actually quite profound in the book. And often that's what really good metaphor does, is it like lends an extra layer of faith. Oops, I don't know. Technology. Here we go. Okay, this one I really love. Oops, sorry. Let me go back. Anne Patchett, of course, the great Anne Patchett. If a novel was a map of a country, a story was the bright silver pin that marked the crossroads. So there's nothing to say about that. I love Dani Shapiro. She's one of my favorites. She's a really wonderful essayist and novelist. This quote I just love. I've thought about it so many times throughout my life. Somewhere inside you, your future has already unfurled like one of those coiled up party streamers, once shiny, shaken loose, floating gracefully for a brief moment, now trampled underfoot after the party is over. The future you're capable of imagining is already a thing of the past. Which reminds me of Children of the Past, actually. I wonder if she was interrogating that cliche when she wrote that, right? She's talking about the future and yet she's already saying it's gone, it's gonna be gone like that. Really, really beautiful. Here's a couple more that I really liked. Ivan Doig, he's really great. That whole fussy room still carried an atmosphere of having been crocheted into existence rather than carpenter. So good. And you can see it, right? You can smell it.
Yeah.
As soon as he says it's been crocheted into existence, you're like, oh yeah, that's my grandma's house.
Just pull a string and it'll all apart.
Yeah, right. Yes, and the only thing that will remain is the dish of strawberry candies, right in the middle. The history of civilization is written in its weapons, John Larison. He wrote the great book, Whiskey When We're Dry, which had a lot of great metaphor in it, but it was so voice heavy that it was hard to pick a good one. And so I found this one from his book, The Ancients, which is also great. I'm partial to A Cowboy Story, but The Ancients is also really good. Okay, so another opportunity to interrogate our work. We only have a few minutes left, so we're going to go fast here. Do you have a favorite word picture from a writer you admire? Share it with us and tell us why you love it. And how can you incorporate that originality in your own writing? If we want to have just a few minutes to break into groups, we can, or if anybody wants to just popcorn that out, we can do that too. Yeah.
I know people have various feelings about this book, but the metaphors in it are incredible. Eat, Pray, Love.
Yeah.
I know, it's not everybody's favorite, but she's got some, what we were just talking about, extended metaphors that like go on for a couple pages. We're just talking about, I believe, anxiety and depression as two gumshoe guys that have following her around and they have personalities. I mean, it's an incredible use of metaphor that just really gets stretched.
Yeah.
And I wish I could write like that.
Yeah. She's incredible because she's kind of a fascinating human being with a checkered story, but she's a really good writer. Like any of her stuff, you're like, well, I know why they pay you the big bucks. Yeah, she's kind of incredible. That's a good one. I love that. You know, she also talks about fear. If you guys have heard her give talks on creativity or read Big Magic, she talks about fear is allowed to be in the car on the road trip of your life, but she's not allowed to drive. And she's not allowed to pick the playlist. And she's not allowed to talk. And she has to just sit in the back seat and be quiet. And I love that. That's a wonderful metaphor. It's especially for creative people who tend to be nervous. We tend to be like, I hope it's good enough. So it's great. Anybody else have a favorite? Yeah.
Hi, I'm really fascinated with how people describe the sun. It's such a iconic image and it can be cliche to death.
Yeah.
And I love the ones that you chose, but I also love Emily Dickinson. And she says the sun rose or risen at a time. I just love it because I can see the layers of the sun coming up with that line.
Yeah. And Emily Dickinson is a great example of someone who could be accused of doing what the AI did and doing a sort of nonsense metaphor, right? She has some sort of loose, she plays with language. But she never goes so far as to be actual nonsense. And I think that's a fine line, right? So it can be useful. Sometimes we can play, get out silly, get out into Emily Dickinson territory, and we can kind of, pull ourselves back a little bit so make sure it makes sense. But hope is the thing with feathers. It's close enough to nonsense, but it makes sense to me, Yeah.
Continuing the dawn theme, I remember reading the Odyssey in high school, and at least in the translation I read, they talked about rosy fingered dawn coming in all the time, which as a 15-year-old was completely lost on me. I was like, what the hell are they talking about? But now you can picture fingers of clouds or pink or reddish clouds coming up over the horizon. Win, lose, or draw, that was 40 years ago. I still remember it.
Right.
So it made an impression.
Right. Yeah, totally.
How about the wine dark sea?
I didn't remember that one, so maybe it didn't make an impression.
Well, sometimes too, the simple language can actually make the most difference, right? Because we're almost expecting this big thing, and then you just say this one little line, the rosy fingered dawn, and that's all we need. It stays in there. Yeah.
Going back to that, her smile was like a sunrise over a snake. It reminded me immediately of a song that probably the last time I listened to it was in college, by Laurie Anderson. But it's so memorable. She says, the sun's coming up like a big bald head.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Yeah, we need word pictures and metaphor for things we have a hard time explaining. I think that's why we have so many pictures for the sun, because it's such a mystery. Even now with all of our smartness and science and going in space and whatever, we still need pictures for it because it's so past us. And I think that's something that's something we can do. It's really cool. Yeah.
I just read a book called My Friends by Frederick Bachman.
Oh, yeah.
A couple of really cool ones. Ted turns around with a look on his face like a person would have at the end of a long battle against an insect over a glass of juice.
Oh
my goodness. He's like so brilliantly vivid, right? And then the next one was Louisa follows Ted into the train station through the turnstile. They get stuck like two tennis balls in the mouth of an overly ambitious golden retriever.
Yes. That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Those are also great examples of humor. There's a great lightness to those, we're not doing grieving mothers here. We're going for funny, and that's wonderful. It's really great. Love that. Yeah.
I was thinking of something I run across recently, a horse trainer I know. Rather than giving a good explanation, he says, don't do that, you'll be a dink. And he uses that word dink, and I'm not sure, because he's used it several times, but I'm not sure exactly what he's talking about, but I know I don't want to go there.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, it's the double income, no kids. It was, kind of a slander for,
Necessarily.
Yeah, go for it.
One of my favorite poems by Mary Oliver's, she is talking about fall. And she says, look, the trees are turning their own bodies into pillars of light.
Oh,
nice.
Yeah. Sometimes you read some of this stuff and it just makes you quail, you just think, what am I doing with my life?
So this one is something I said, the auroras were coming down from the sun in the Arctic, Alaska. I was visiting astrophysicists coming and during, so they were there. My daughter says, we've got to go to the dock. That's where everybody is. So we finish our lovely dinner, go off to the dock, and there's all these astrophysicists all over the world typing in data.
Yeah.
And I'm like, So it's kind of like the sun is sitting around smoking back in the 1960s. And it's kind of doing the smoke ring thing. And they all put down their phones and went like, really? She's your mother? Like, she's not, that's really not wrong. What I get a lot with my kids, but so that one's probably in the science literature now. It's just like, it is really not wrong. And that's gonna be in our entire career span, is why are those auroras coming when the smoke,
Yeah,
the sun just sits around with its cigarette.
Right.
Smoke ring out.
yeah. Oh, I love it. I love it.
That was one of my better.
That's good. Yeah, I just wanted to say, this is probably a whole other concept like we talked about, but I feel like metaphors have, like you're saying, something beyond words, like this deeper, like almost primal feeling. And it's hard for me to like sit and think of them, but they're in my dreams all the time. Like absolutely, like just have a dream about getting sucked out by a riptide or something, and it's like, oh, I feel a lack of control or something. So sometimes I like try to look into my dream world and write things down and stuff, and like use those the metaphors that are like already in me.
Totally, your body knows more about the metaphor than.
Yeah,
you,
exactly.
Right?
Like I didn't consciously think about it.
Right, yeah, ooh, that's really cool, I love that, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts? We're almost done. Anybody else have a good metaphor? Good metaphor to end on?
I think I actually mentioned this at a workshop, that they did a couple of weeks ago. I think it's rare that something really good comes from intentional thinking.
Yeah,
Like, it's like, oh, I'm gonna write something very clever right now. I think you just write, and then maybe you revisit it when you're drunk, or you revisit it after you've dreamed about it, or, something strikes you it comes as a surprise.
yeah,
It's not necessarily something that you can just like, oh, I'm gonna sit down and have this very clever thing about being swept out in the ocean.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
loss of control.
Totally. Yeah, and I think that's one thing too, that for us to be kind of aware of, right, with all of this, is that you can't try and sound smart. You can edit, you can try and get there, you can try and get more and more truthful and beautiful. But if we get stuck in trying to sound amazing or smart, our audience is always gonna know. And that's never the way to good writing, Yeah.
Yeah, I've been looking at this rug and I'm wondering what the hell metaphor is and contains in that. Who thought that up?
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
I bet it means something different to everybody.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you guys. Thank you so much.
That was great, thank you.